Well, how's it going? This is Shiva, and we are doing part two of having to use future pinball to design a table in PinBuilder series. Um, it's not really that fair to put it that way, but it's just a hell of a lot easier. And I think, as you can see from the design here, you can see, and if you're familiar with FP and BP, and also tried to build a table in PinBuilder, I think you can understand that this is literally a game of a millimeter. In other words, things have to be placed very, very precisely. But before I actually talk about the actual design, unfortunately, OBS and FP really don't like each other. To be honest, I think they used to be married because OBS refuses to record tables, the table being played, which is kind of bizarre, but that's just the way it does. In the meanwhile, I'm going to just show you the original version of PinBuilder that I had done. And I'll just explain a couple of quick things here about why I was having so much why I used FP, but most importantly, why I was having so much problems. And first off, we're going to talk about is the scale of the playfield. Now, as you can see, Anna has 20.25 times 40, which is interesting because there's never been a pinball machine with those actual dimensions. Actual arcade pinball machines. All EM games, by the way, were 20.25 by 41. That was because one company made all of the cabinets for all of the manufacturers and had been doing it since, I believe it was the 1930s, and that would be Churchill cabinets. So literally, I was kind of wondering when I was putting some of my oldest EM style table designs and blueprints in there, why my lights looked slightly oval. Well, now we know. It's the EM standard is that's in here is actually an inch too short. But if we go into the deep style, it's actually the exact same dimensions. And I think Anna meant 11B style. I guess she was talking about Williams System 11, and B would be the amount of displays that would be on it. The problem is that the problem is it's way too short. System 11, by the way, is 20 point, what was that again? Yeah. System 11 was 20.25 by 42 inches. So we are basically 2 inches short here. And yeah, I think 2 inches can make quite a big difference there, right, ladies? Yeah, so when I was playing, Star Destroyer in PinBuilder, I just felt that something was really not quite right with it. It was really off, and I just couldn't put my finger on it when I first played it, and then I realized that is that everything was kind of compressed with the ball, because everything was a little bit shorter since the vertical was a little bit shorter, and it kind of made a pretty big difference with the ball. And I have corrected it with this one. Oh, for Christ's sakes, I have to hit that damn key again. Anyway, I did correct it a little bit with this one. I made the slingshots up a little bit higher than what they were in the game so that the ball could, breathe, basically. But there is one other little thing in here. Again, this is kind of funny. It is. It's really kind of funny when you think about it. I know all of you boys in BP and FP. Have a look at this, and isn't there something that kind of sticks out here that might be not quite correct here? And I'll give you a little hint. There's 4 of them. And yep. And if you said, wait a minute, those pop bumpers, those thumper bumpers, look a little bit on the large side, don't they? And I would say, yes, Bunky, you are correct. They are, in fact, too large. In fact, they are about 20% larger than the models that we use in FP. And in fact, the skirt is also very, very large too as well. Yeah, the bumper skirt here, yeah, those are also very, very, very large too as well. And I just, it was funny. I was been looking at this thing and I'm going, what the hell is wrong with this game? There's something that's just not right. And then I suddenly realized the bumpers were way, way too big. Just for those of you who are not familiar with visual pinball and FP, especially with FP, when FP was being designed, one of the most important things with FP was the accuracy of the table, which is kind of laughable when you think what we got. But most importantly, the accuracy of the sizes of all of the various models. They were done by a gentleman called Leo. We all know who he is. And he spent a very, very, very long time building the models and making sure that they were absolutely bang on in terms of scale to what is actually being used in the arcades. In fact, he was so accurate that you see his models used in, well, BPX. I've seen his models used in other pinball programs as well, because they are absolutely dead accurate in terms of scale. And for reference, I would say that this is actually the better scale. I don't know about the size of the skirt itself, but we can work around that one. But yeah, that was something that when I put it in FP, I took a screenshot of the program and everything else, and got the layout into FP. As soon as I put an FP bumper, the Bally ones, or the equivalent with Williams, as is said here. Yeah, definitely these bumpers are a bit too big. So you can understand, this has not been fun for me to get this. It's been one hell of a challenge. I'm working with a vertical space that's 2 inches less than really what I kind of wanted it to be, and what the actual firepower game actually is. It is 42 inches from top to bottom in the playfield. But yeah, so let's show you this guy. And as you can see, this is a shot of the what I've got done so far. And I will just remove a couple of things here, so that it makes it a little bit easier. As you can see, I showed you one of my tricks before was to use lights for my spacing. So that, and of course with FP, if you hold the control key down, a little red circle, sort of dashed circle, sort of appears. You can just see it. Hang on, let me just whoop. Come on, Paul, be ready here. Jeez. If you hold the control key down, see the little red circle? That's the size of the ball. I told you they really made sure that the sizes were accurate at the very least. The rest of the program pretty much sucks, especially the vanilla version. The vanilla version is horrible. But for the most part, it's but all the dimensions are absolutely bang on. So I had so not only was it very hard to fit a game, especially the layout that I had imagined, in 2 inches of less space, which was really, really tough to do. I had to make some pretty big compromises, to say the least. There were some things that I really, really kind of wanted to do, and I just couldn't do them. There just wasn't enough space. And my biggest concern right now is the fact that these are a little compressed in certain areas. Like in this area here, there's not a lot of room for the ball to breathe. If you follow my lines, it's exactly 1.5 ball lengths apart. But I really kind of think that the bottom bumpers should be out just a little bit more to each side, you know, just to give you a better shot. And of course, there was some very traditional design elements in here. The other thing is, if you notice, that top saucer is gone. That was one of the sacrifices. I had to move it, and then I suddenly thought, well, instead of just having a shot like here and a shot here to the saucer, why don't we do something a little bit different and make the game look a little bit more interesting? And I ended up with this. And some people may say, boy, Shiva, that really does look familiar. And I would say, yep, it does look familiar, doesn't it? But hey, it works. It works great with this design. And it gives a little bit of extra oomph to the design. I mean, you know, what more do you want, right? And on this side, right here, I decided to do, instead of a straight saucer shot, I just decided to do a little loop. And I just thought, oh, okay, that looks better, right? Sometimes you just, you know, design stuff that looks better. So what did I want to do that I could not do before? Here, let me, yeah, I do have this on. Okay, good. Okay, so maybe that will make it a little bit better for you to see, so you can see the lines and stuff. So you got your typical A, B, C, D lanes. You've got you've got the little target there, and if you notice, it's ever so slightly angled. Before it was straight up, now it's a little bit angled. Again, it was sort of a compromise to try and get everything to fit in here. With the lock balls, well, 1, 2, and 3. So that's pretty simple. I managed to keep 3 sets of these little stand-up targets, just like the original game. And of course, as you can see, it sort of resembles firepower, but is not, you know, kind of thing. The other thing is I have a little oopsie lane in here, and then there's a lane that you can actually shoot at from this flipper. So I'm actually kind of proud of myself for being able to do this, because in all intents and purposes, I've managed to add 3 entire new lanes to the vertical layout. A new one is here. There's one here, and this one here. And you know, I did a little bit of rearranging to get everything to work, but it sort of works, doesn't it? And so, you know, in considering what you know, some of the limitations and the fact that I don't have certain models in PinBuilder anywhere close to the amount of models that we do have in stock FP, oh, it's okay. You know, I had to design things based on what is available for the models for PinBuilder. So what's the things that I really wanted to do and I couldn't do? First and foremost, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I just don't think I have enough space. And I don't. I am about, 10 millimeters, about 7 millimeters short in width. I wanted to add a ramp. And I wanted a ramp over here. And I was going to worry about the PinBuilder ramp models later in building it. But it's just a little bit too short, even with, yeah, it is. That's 55, by the way, that light, the size of that light. I need this angle to be here, but you should see it's so tight, and it would kind of look very cramped. And yeah, I know I'm harping on it, but you know what? If I did have that extra 2 inches of space available, I probably would have been able to do it. In fact, I have a feeling that if I had that space, I might have been able to have done, instead of this section here, I might have been able to have figured out how to get a looping shot with a right flipper. The idea that I had was, oh, I'm pressing buttons to scroll down. I don't need to press any keys to scroll down. If you can see, I was thinking very strongly of having a flipper and then having a looping shot that would go up to the top. And I don't know if it would have worked out though. But yeah, that would have been absolutely, the icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. And I probably would have changed a few things. As you can see, I'm still moving stuff around. Can you imagine in PinBuilder? Uh, the thing is that I've moved some of these objects at least 40, 50 times, and sometimes multiple objects. And with Future Pinball, all you have to do is just sort of box her out. And there you go, right? And can you imagine having, and once it's selected, you can use the arrow keys, and it moves up the equivalent of 1 millimeter at a time. And can you imagine trying to do that in PinBuilder? Because that little section that I've got highlighted, I had to have done all of that at least 15, 16 times once I got a handle on exactly what the shape of my design was going to be. And I would have had to have done every single object individually. So now you know why I sort of decided, okay, I think it is time. I think I better just build this in Future Pinball. PinBuilder, oh my God, it would have taken hours and hours and hours of moving things around and seeing if the shots line up, and then moving the same objects over, and then trying to move them in combinations that give me as much space to work with as possible, and everything else. Yeah, I think you can imagine just how hard that is, especially since you cannot multiple select items. You can only really just move one item at a time. At least that's what I know. I don't know if it's I've never seen Anna actually do that either. I think that's really what it is. I have asked a couple people. They don't know of an ability to do it. And I wouldn't at all be surprised if they don't use FP or VP to design their tables in first anyway. Because it's just so much more convenient to use programs like this. This is, it's actually kind of wonderful. I know it's a little weird that I'm using a pinball builder to build a table in another pinball builder, but it really, as I said before, we need a lot better tools in PinBuilder before we can even build anything even like this without screaming in frustration at the amount of time that it will actually take. Some games can get very, very, very complex. As you can see, this game is actually full of nothing but compromises in my design. For instance, I would have had, just little things like this angle would have been a bit more severe. So the line where the ball goes up to the top, it would have been a bit more severe. This curve would have been down just a little bit. Just those little things. And of course, I would have had the pop bumpers, the thumper bumpers up about another 15, 20, 15 millimeters is really all I needed, and I probably would have been able to have added that ramp at the very least, and maybe another 20, 25 millimeters higher. I might have been able to do the looping shot with a flipper. Think high speed, that kind of a shot, where the target bank would have been over here, and then there would have been a nice looping shot around, and maybe even a ramp too as well. So that's the reason why I kept going on at Anna about this. And I've mentioned it more than a few times that the scaling, that the dimensions of the playfield itself that you have to build in is wrong. And you know what? We all look at professional designs from the arcade tables to be able to do our designs. And yeah, as I said before, it makes a huge difference, and it really does affect your design. So you have to take your time when you do stuff like this. Okay, what else is there? There was a couple of other things I wanted to do. There is still a little bit of stuff that I have to do. As you can see, I managed to successfully move this over a little bit, and I haven't changed that yet. This lane here is 35 millimeters in width, so that's perfect. As you can see, I used this. Hopefully Anna will give me a spinner in this size one of these days, and that's a great play because the spinner in Star Destroyer is the old EM, and it's just too long. It just takes up too much room. And if we have that, then maybe if I have to settle and not build a ramp here, but build just a straight lane, then another spinner. Another spinner would be great for that, because you know what? Spinners are fun, right? I was also very tempted, and I may still do this, is to make these stand-up targets actual drop targets. And the reason for that is because I like drop targets. Drop targets are really, really fun. I also think, yeah, I think these two objects should be swapped. Okay, well, that's just hopefully a very brief rundown. I hope so, at the very least. But we will see. But I'm just plugging away at this, and I have a feeling it's going to end up looking very, very similar to what you're seeing. You know, there's got to be some things to complete, like, you know, I've got to do the inner metal rail there, and I've got to add some more rubbers here, and I got to figure out what I'm going to do about this area. I just have a feeling that the ramp is not going to work. I've got this at 55 and 55 millimeters. I don't like my ramps to be any smaller than that. I know Stern is like using like 45 millimeter ramps or something ridiculous in their newest games, and it's just, you know, too compressed, right? And I like a nice wide open table, but I have a feeling if I put a ramp, I am going to have playability problems, and the ramp would, and I would have to quite literally block this area off if I do that, while just doing just a straight normal shot like this, but doing something like a shot to go around like that. Yeah, I think so. But, you know, it's basically by the numbers. But, you know, there may actually be no choice. Anyway, as you can see, this is how the game is looking at the moment. I said I'll do a daily progress, or progress after I find some time to work on my tables. As I said, this was episode 2. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you're learning a little bit from here, because this is sort of more, not just me bragging about my abilities as a table designer, but it's also sort of a learning experience. I'm giving away some of my secrets here, guys. So I hope you're enjoying it. In the meanwhile, have a great day, and we will talk to you the next episode. Bye for now.